Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to thank you all for coming, by the way. And General, I wanted to pick up, or Mr. DC, on your comment about human capital and the challenges that you're having with human capital. What role do you see the Guard and Reserve playing in there? It seems to me if there's any entity that flows back and forth between civilian and uniformed or even government service, it would be the Guard and the Reserve that can kind of, one, stay current on the civilian side as technology paces so quickly, but then flow back in as they come in and off of orders. Where do they fit into the broader strategy?
Sir, the question is timely. We just had a chance to take the team down to Augusta, Georgia, and talk to a lot of the units that are down there that are practicing this. And the Guard and Reserve is really a staple of the conversation, not an add-on. So a lot of the Guard and Reserve units are extremely active, very competent, cutting-edge technology trained, and a very integral part of what we do. So I can't comment on to the adequacy, if we're doing enough or not enough. But I know that many of those Guard units have quite a bit of operational time under their belt as well. So very proficient, very impressive, and we use them regularly, not just in their activated time periods, but in their civilian period as well. And I would admit, I don't believe that's limited just to cyber. I think that's pretty common in my non-cyber experience in the Marine Corps. We've been augmented in almost every MOS that I can think of by Guard units and Reserve units who have performed brilliantly.
Fair enough, but I would think that it would be quite unique to cyber, right, or at least the technology field, right? So you could have where that civilian skill set then is so out. I can't think of anywhere else that on the civilian side is outpacing the military from a technological standpoint.
Well, maybe, sir, because here's an area where it depends on what kind of mission we're talking about.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about defensive missions, and those individuals have experience doing kind of our protection type of work, possibly. On the offensive side, I would argue that I think within the military, that capability, it's really the only legal place you could do some of that work, and that allure is there. So it would depend on the skill set.
Fair enough. Switching gears to Jedi, and apologies if you've already answered some questions along these lines, but just talk to me about how critical Jedi is. Well, how critical is the success of Jedi and other DoD enterprise cloud initiatives in supporting future AI? And along those lines, then what are I'm assuming you're going to say it is critical, and you're going to tell me how critical, but then what are the drivers or delays to implementations, and what are we losing as implementation is delayed?
So not specific to Jedi, but just what are the critical benefits? So what's the problem set we're trying to solve for inside the Department of Defense? Mm-hmm. Number one is if you look at what it takes today to stand up compute capability from the time that a service or a COCOM sees a need to the time that you bring the assets inside the department, test them, stand them up, make them operational, that is a multi-month period. Benefit number one of cloud is the ability to purpose and stand up compute capability in literally hours. So how do you solve for episodic needs where you need to stand up compute capability? Mm-hmm. That's very important, as you can imagine, to the department. Two is when we build capability today inside the department, we always have to think about peak need. So you buy enough necessary hardware for that peak capacity. The second beauty of cloud is called elasticity. You ramp up and scale more compute as you need it, and as you don't need it, you can scale it down, and it happens in real time. The third one is resiliency. The idea with the cloud is that if you write your application from day one to be cloud native, you get built-in resiliency as it finds itself in an unhealthy condition or as it finds itself needing to use other resources. It has the intelligence to do that. In a world where we can't have a not-fail mission set, the resiliency, as you can imagine, becomes mission critical.
What are we losing as this moves forward? I mean, I understand the process is moving forward, and you're not going to get into protests and all of the industry issues, but what are we losing as this?
The biggest thing we're losing right now is the Department of Defense needs to bring data and integration together. It's been a constant conversation. It's not a new conversation. Our enterprise cloud, for the first time, allows us to establish a common platform where we can bring data together in a common way. What will happen is the longer we delay standing up a JEDI capability, is the military services are going to need to go solve for mission sets, and they're going to continue to stand up in their own individual environments. And I don't see that as being beneficial over the long term to the department.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've exceeded my time.